of us, and we went to Shannon's for lunch. And Patrick is a frugal man, and he said, "Where are we going?" I almost thought I saw him like reach his hand back to feel his wallet. Like, is it there? Do I have it? Am I going to need it?
How many of those fancy dinners have we gone to and we're like, man, if I had to pay for this, if I didn't have a gift certificate.
Friday night, I took him to this restaurant in the Central West End for his birthday called Bait. And amazing
Sounds
seafood.
Delicious.
It was really, it's such a wonderful setting. It's an elegant place, but you can come in your t-shirt and your jeans, of course. And
can I ask how you spell that?
B-A, like bait for fish. B-A-I-T, B-A-I-T, Bait.
Then that does not sound delicious.
Yeah, so it was amazing restaurant. We've gone twice now. And they tell you this is a special, when you see the words market rate,
yeah,
that's high, right?
Buddy, yep.
Because if you have to ask, you can't afford it, like my mother always said.
Right.
And so I got the market rate dish and then got the bill. Woo, woo!
Was it good?
It was amazing. And I mean, it was stuffed lobster.
Oh, come on.
Stuffed lobster over linguine.
I'm
with
sold.
With broccoli. Broccolini, the long broccoli.
Okay.
Yeah. And 3 of us ate on that.
Wow.
I couldn't finish it. Patrick ate some, and then our 21-year-old ate the rest. So 3 people ate on that $65 dish.
Living high in the hog is stuffed meatloaf.
Birthday.
Stuffed lobster, though?
I love meatloaf.
What's inside the lobster? More lobster? Crab meat.
But it's like, I think crab meat, and then, breadcrumbs, green, I don't know.
Cheese.
No, I'm sure it was a melty, delicious thing.
Speaking of lobster, so at Costco, they sell this lobster bisque. It kind of tastes like lobster. You know what I did? I added a lobster tail to it.
Oh, did you?
Now it tastes like lobster.
I'm always dressing up food that I
buy. Since we're talking food, can I just reveal, in this show that's on our 10th week,
he's the one who keeps count.
Sorry.
Who in your relationship keeps count? This is the 18th anniversary of our first date. This is the 6th anniversary of the first time I saw you. Bo is the one in this relationship that keeps count. And we love you for that. Go ahead.
But the question is, are we changing each other? And we may not be changing each other, especially Ryan, but we are teaching each other.
We are teaching each other.
And I taught Carol a new word this morning that you had never heard.
What was that?
The breakfast dessert.
Yeah. So
there's the story.
But there's more to the story.
Is there?
Yes, because I decided last night I am going to go to Breadco and get a scrambled egg and cheese brioche sandwich. So I text Bo this morning, intended to be here at 9.
Yeah, going for coffee.
So it's like 8:45, 8:50. I'm like, I'm gonna go get some coffee and breakfast. And Bo goes, oh, and a snack for your friend. And I said, you read my mind. I was just gonna roll up in here with a cookie, but then I added a sandwich to that.
Very kind.
And so I at first I thought I'll eat this cookie after the show. I'll save it. But then I did the chai tea latte. I ate the sandwich. And I dug right into the cookie, and Bo goes, and now time for the breakfast dessert. And I'm like, I've never heard that. Breakfast dessert.
Come along with me, Carol. Whether it's cookies, which normally that's rare, but pancakes, that to me is a breakfast dessert. Waffles, maybe an extra biscuit with some honey on it. That's to me.
Because of the syrup, because of the sweet thing you add to it. It is actually a fried food. People don't think about pancakes as a fried food.
It is?
Because it's fried in the pan. It's fried. Don't look sad. You look sad. Are you watching us on Facebook? I hope you can hear us too. We are live on St. Louis Talks on our Facebook page.
It's not deep fried.
It's not, but deep fried is submerged in oil. That's deep fried, right?
That would be a funny cake.
But we love the funny cakes. But anything in the pan that's fried is considered
it's in a frying pan. I get it.
Yeah, it's fried food.
So that
ain't gonna stop me from eating it. I'm just pointing out that it's a fried food.
Will you share with your Rolodex of people that you speak to about breakfast dessert?
Oh, that we are sharing it with the greatest Rolodex of all, and that is live right here on St. Louis Talks.
There you go.
New phrase: breakfast dessert.
You're welcome.
And thank you for that. Coming up next, it is Quick Hits with Bo Matthews right here on St. Louis Talks.
Use both your KMOX presets when you're in the car. 98.7 FM near the city and 1120 AM further out. Two buttons for KMOX, the voice of St. Louis.
At CBS News, our mission is to provide you with the facts you need to stay safe and informed. CBS This Morning and the CBS Evening News continue to deliver the latest news and developments on the COVID-19 outbreak. You can watch our free streaming service, CBSN, 24/7 at our website or on your phone using the CBS News app. Right now, we know you have a lot of questions and are looking for answers, and we want you to know CBS News is here to help you make sense of it all.
Would you like a cleaning product that can be used in the garage, the laundry, and the kitchen, and save space in your cabinet? Hi, I'm Bruce Fabrizio, inventor of Simple Green. Concentrated all-purpose Simple Green is the answer for versatile cleaning throughout your home and garage. I'm so certain you'll love Simple Green. If you're not 100% satisfied, I'll give you your money back. To learn more, visit us at simplegreen.com.
Simple Green, Simple Green.
When you have errands to run, do you like to run all over town or do you try to make as few stops as possible? It's nice when you can get everything in one place, isn't it? Hi, this is Lori Heisey, owner of Heisey Advisory Group. I believe the same is true for retirement planning. You shouldn't have to go to one place for tax planning, another place for investment planning, and another place for retirement income planning. That's why Ken and I started Heisey Advisory Group. We wanted to build a company that could help families with all aspects of their retirement planning. We're more than just convenient. We're knowledgeable, experienced, and we'd love to help you create a comprehensive retirement plan so you can retire with confidence. Call today at 314-328-4400 to schedule a visit with us to talk about all things retirement. That's 314-328-4400.
Firm offers insurance but does not provide tax or legal advice. Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
As a licensed skilled nursing memory care community, Park Provence specializes in
It is St. Louis Talks. Ryan Recker continues his vacation. Carol and Bo hanging down, holding down the fort here.
Yeah, we're hanging out.
And this is Quick Hits. Belleville is moving towards ending residency requirements for city employees.
Very surprising because most of the conversation, Bo, that we have had from a news perspective really is about residency requirement as it pertains to police officers.
Absolutely.
And really, that's just the primary thing that comes to mind for most people. Because Belleville has a variety of collective bargaining agreements, the incoming mayor, Patty Gregory, who was on with us shortly after she was elected, she came on St. Louis Talks. I was going to say Great Day St. Louis. She came on St. Louis Talks here on KMOX, and what she said in this, in responding to this, it was one of her first actions, is that there's a hodgepodge, really, of people who can live in the city and people who don't have live in the city based on their collective bargaining agreement. And so she just felt it was only fair that you just make it across the board for all city employees.
Yeah, that's strange to me because it makes sense to me for police officers, because if you're a police officer in St. Louis or whatever city and that is part of your deal, well, if you have a police car parked in front of your house, well, maybe that neighborhood will be a little safer. And so that kind of makes sense but for all city employees, I mean, people like to, have a 30-minute commute just to kind of get away from it all. And so I think it's a good move for Belleville. But it's not done yet, correct?
I don't think so. I think it has to go through the city council. But the idea in today's marketplace for employees that you are trying to get the best, you've got to cast a wider net. And so this will enable them to do that. And
certainly working remotely. If you live outside the city limits and you can do your job remotely, as a lot of us learn how to do that, that kind of makes sense too.
And this is somewhat related, but so my son is working remotely. When he has to go into the office, it's a 45-minute drive, and he doesn't want that. So does he find another job where he can work remotely or lives closer to the job? So these are the things that employers are considering.
And that could segue into our next quick hit this morning. As many of us have heard, recent data suggests that the Great Resignation is coming. Now, the term Great Resignation, I learned it like 3 days ago for the first time. It was coined by a guy named Anthony Klotz, a Texas A&M University Associate Manager Professor. He has studied the exits of hundreds of workers, and in his interview with Bloomberg Business Week, he shares his prediction that many more people who had hung onto their jobs during the pandemic because of uncertainty are now readying themselves to quit.
Interesting. So during the pandemic, as we have talked a great deal about on KMOX, and just mentioned when it relates to Belleville and like my son's job, people got used to remote work. Now, I've always said I don't feel like I could do it. I'd be too distracted, but I never had to do it. So you and Ryan worked from home and you actually enjoyed it. And so people who grew accustomed to the flexibility of remote work, now they are feeling a little bit of pushback. Like, I don't want to go back to the office. I don't want to. I'm enjoying working from home. And so if they are being forced to come back, some are looking at how can I become a freelancer? Freelancers are projected to make up more than 50% of workers by 2027. Now, that sounds like a big number. It's 2021. That's not that far off.
No.
That people are going to leave the workplace and find a better job, move, or become a freelancer.
The gig economy, the technology allows so many people to work remotely. And there are people that actually live on an island. If they have Wi-Fi, they can do their job. And, as long as that's the thing. When you're wanting to move remotely or out in the rural area, you've got to make sure you get that Wi-Fi.
That's key. Now you do, because your voice is amazing. So you do commercials. You don't have to fly to LA to do that. You don't have to fly to New York to do that.
No. And let me tell you, back early in the early 90s, when I did the Shop and Save Watermelon voice, you had to drive to every audition. And now it's an MP3 file and boom, it's gone.
We're going to talk more about this at 1:18 or 12:18, I should say, with Dr. Julie Palmer from Webster University.
Going to be interesting.
Great Resignation is coming.
Yeah, this is the Great Reset coming? I don't know. Anyway, Carnival Cruise Lines requires unvaccinated travelers to buy insurance for their cruises going out of Florida. Would you do it? Or is that the sucker's bet? It's like, here, you're buying this toaster. Do you want to buy the extended warranty for $17?
Well, let me say that one time on Amtrak, I bought the insurance.
Did it come in handy?
And it came in handy.
Ooh.
And I think I was out $7. But for the cost of was it 4 tickets for myself and husband and the boys, I was out $7. And I'd never bought the travel insurance before. Now, this is a completely different thing, of course, because if you're unvaccinated, you get on the cruise line. What happens if you test positive and then, you've got to get off and they've got to get you off somehow? And what happens if you infect other people? So the travel insurance covers at least $10,000 of medical expenses and $30,000 of emergency medical evacuation expenses. That's the real deal right there.
Right. Yeah.
So the cruise line is not necessarily on the hook because you chose to not be vaccinated.
Right. And it's amazing to see that industry in the last year, just all these boats just went idle for so long. And it's for a lot of people, they love being on cruises. My dad swears by a balcony room. You got to have a balcony room.
Have a balcony. You got to have a balcony.
And actually, I just heard a story about a friend of a friend that bought a bunch of cruise line stock when it was like down to nothing last year. And of course, now it's coming back. Coming back. Talk about predicting the future. But who knew? So check this out. Moderna is accused of parking vaccine profits in tax havens, as in, i.e., Swiss banks. Yeah, that's a headline that's out today. I just saw that a little earlier.
So we know that companies do this. We know people do it. We know millionaires, and that's how they hide their profits. We've heard this happen in certain high-profile divorces, that you have to hire a forensic accountant to find the money that potential, the soon-to-be divorce, usually a man, was hiding. I think that our reaction to this is maybe negative because you're talking about the vaccine that our tax dollars paid for. And so we might be more upset about it because of that. This is a super common thing, sadly, that people and companies do. Now, should they? Absolutely not. Remember when Burger King moved its headquarters out of the country? I was like, the Whopper's dead to me.
Really?
The Whopper is dead to me. Now, when did that happen? 4 years ago? 4 years ago, I think. Have I had a Whopper in the 4 years? Yes, but I did go cold turkey on the Whoppers for several years because of that. So, Moderna, shame on you.
The report released just earlier today, the research on multinational corporations cited a leaked contract between the company and the European Commission, which indicates that the company's vaccine profits will end up in some of the world's worst tax havens. Here's the crazy thing. We hear free vaccines everywhere, all over the country. Go get your free vaccine. Go get your free vaccine. In the back of my mind, I've always had that little notion, you got to follow the money. Who's paying for it? How much is a dose?
It's not free. You know who's paying for it. The government's paying for it.
How much? I mean, the government in years past, decades ago, were famous for buying $400 toilets and $700 hammers. That was
not just the government. That was the military we so support. That was the military.
Part of the government.
Yeah, still, but we got to be specific.
So I mean, I would be curious to find out how much is a dose or 2 doses for the Moderna. How much is that?
Some people did get billed. And I'm trying to recall.
I know they collected insurance money for some people.
Yeah.
Or insurance information.
Yeah. When I got mine, I did bring my insurance card, but I never got anything from the insurance company. Now, I don't open my mail every day, so it might be sitting in a stack of something somewhere.
You know what? On the news break,
that's a whole nother conversation. How often do you open your mail? Some people don't open their mail every day. Some people don't go to the mailbox every day.
I'll tell you, the best and the double-edged sword is online bill pay. When you get those email alerts and it just gets lost in thousands of others.
Got one this morning. Ameren says you owe $71.
Right. Yeah.
I just got one this morning.
With a $4 late fee. On the news break, I'm going to see if I can just Google how much is a dose of the vaccine.
Do you guys know who are watching us live on, I know you know.
Oh, yeah. That's
watching
our team
us live
that's our ghostwriters out there.
Yeah, St. Louis Talks on Facebook. How much do you know is a vaccine dose? How much is a vaccine dose?
Or 2 doses.
Because I know we all essentially, taxpayers, are paying for it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how much it is to us as taxpayers.
That's the end of it.
Is that the end?
That's your quick hits.
I'm upset that you dented the Stanley Cup, you people. Stop messing with the championship trophies. What is wrong with you?
Well, that was the display one that they carry around.
It was, yes.
It wasn't the actual one in the museum, but that would have been funny if they could have dented the one that's in the Hall of Fame.
No, this isn't even funny.
Just headbutt right into it. They were throwing away around the Super Bowl trophy.
That wasn't funny either.
No, that wasn't.
I heard someone say, was alcohol involved? Isn't it usually?
You know what spread this virus? All those people kissing that Stanley Cup. That's the problem right there.
To me.
You're welcome.
I did not, when the Stanley Cup came here, there are photos of people kissing it. I'm like, oh no, these lips
It's hilarious.
They were not meant to follow your lips and his lips and her lips and those lips and that. No.
What's so funny is the people that handle that trophy that's going around, they're all wearing Mickey Mouse white gloves.
Right.
But
And here
yet
you are
everybody's
kissing
slobbering
it.
on. Yeah, exactly. Okay, there's your quick hits.
News is next.
One right now, cloudy and 75 degrees downtown at the Arch. St. Louis police confirmed they are searching for an escaped detainee from the City Justice Center. The handcuffed 32-year-old detainee was being walked into the hospital by police about 1:30 this morning when he ran and got away. Police did not say what area the escape happened. Jill Biden will attend the opening ceremony of the Summer Olympic Games in Tokyo. President Joe Biden will not attend. The First Lady is also expected to watch some Olympic sporting events while in Tokyo, as well as hold official events in Alaska and Hawaii on the way to and from Japan. U.S. News and World Report annually ranks 150 of the most populated metropolitan areas in the country based on affordability, job prospects, and desirability. Real estate editor Devon Thorsby explains why Boulder, Colorado ranked so high on the list.
Boulder's job market is extremely strong. And despite the fact that the entire country experienced skyrocketing unemployment throughout 2020, Boulder's market was able to remain relatively stable and keep unemployment rates pretty low compared to the rest of the country.
The Crown tied with The Mandalorian for the most Emmy nominations today, 24 each, but the Marvel Universe also got bragging rights with runner-up WandaVision. Right now, there's some debris 67 northbound at the Lindbergh Tunnel, and it's got the left shoulder blocked. Also, some debris 70 eastbound before Natural Bridge. That one right now has the left lane closed. This afternoon, the clouds will break for some sunshine, and we'll have a humid condition. Can't rule out a spotty shower east of the Mississippi River with a high of 85. Clear tonight, the low 71. Sponsored by Overhead Door Company of St. Louis, the Red Ribbon of Overhead Door is celebrating 100 years, a legacy of greatness. Overhead Door Company of St. Louis is the only authorized dealer of the genuine original overhead door products in St. Louis. Visit the showroom or schedule online at overheaddoorstlewis.com or call 314-781-5200. It's 77 in St. Peters and Florissant and downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
Wow, you are in the retirement window. Can you believe it? I sound excited, don't I? Because it should be an exciting time, but I realize that it is not for everyone. Carol Daniel for my friend Marvin Mitchell at Compass Retirement Solutions. At Compass Retirement Solutions, Marvin talks to each of his clients. And what he has learned over the years is that while I may have sounded excited, some of you are anxious or fearful or frustrated, or you're just, I don't know, you feel uninformed going forward. So if you're anxious about losing your portfolio in the next market downturn, or if you are fearful about outliving your retirement assets, and if you fear becoming a burden to your family, or if you're frustrated that all this advice from Wall Street that you hear appears to be conflicting and you wonder, man, who has my best interest at heart? You need to reach out to Marvin Mitchell at Compass Retirement Solutions. He's going to help you create a simple plan that will bring you clarity and confidence so you can retire, and then stay retired with dignity. You won't even concern yourself with the market because you'll have a plan that protects you from severe market loss and minimizes your risk. Get Marvin's book, Retire Early, the 9 Critical Decisions When Retiring Before 65. Call 800-743-8510, 800-743-8510 for Compass Retirement Solutions.
Love to save money. I've been a coupon king for a long time. I'm on Groupon, but let's talk saving big money. The average cash out customer with Golden Oak Lending saves $904 a month. And the last time I was with James Hawkins, the owner of Golden Oak Lending, he was like, no, you have to understand that's the average. Some people save $300 a month. Some people save thousands a month. It all depends on your situation, but there's only one way to find out if you can save and how much you can save. Because even if you refinanced as early as last year, Golden Oak might be able to lower your interest rate even further. If you've got dream projects for your house, this is a great way to get the money for that. If you do the refinance, if your loan doesn't close for any reason, the appraisal is no charge. You can actually, on top of that, skip 2 mortgage payments. So that's a nice breather. But call today to take advantage of Golden Oak's free mortgage checkup to learn how much money you can save. And this is every single month. NMLS 114937, 11737 Administration Drive, St. Louis, Missouri. Start this process by going to goldenoaklending.com. When you talk to them, tell them Bo sent you to Golden Oak Lending.
It is 11:38 right here on KMOX. Thanks for listening to St. Louis Talks. Carol and Bo with you. Ryan Recker's vacation continues. He returns next Monday. All this week at this time, we are hearing from detainees in the St. Louis County Jail. I was allowed in to talk to half a dozen detainees. The only woman I spoke to, you heard from yesterday, Grace. You can go to KMOX.com to podcast and listen to that interview with her. Today, we hear from Tarek.
But yeah, just get out the mud. That's just how it was, the life I was living out there, you know what I mean?
Talk to me about you as a child, and are you from St. Louis? Did you grow up here?
Yeah, born and raised.
Yeah, and so were you? What kind of child were you?
I had an overachiever, you know what I'm saying? Very outgoing. My mom and them always was like I was, you know what I'm saying, intelligent, real creative and imaginative, you know what I'm saying, real imaginative and outgoing. You know, I had good parents. Even my stepfather, we traveled, showed me how to work hard, you know what I mean? I was raised in a Christian household. they didn't spur the ride, and so I was disciplined. So it don't have nothing to do with my upbringing. My upbringing was probably the besides me becoming a parent, the brightest part of my life. You know what I mean? I tell my mom to this day that, you know, she's not, this behavior of mine is not a reflection of her. This is a reflection of me. I didn't start really messing up until I got in my 30s. You know what I mean? I told her I got married young, did my thing with my kids, traveled, and, you know what I'm saying, even went to school. And then when stuff got bad, first it was drinking, then I started using hard drugs, and then that's what derailed me. But my foundation was strong. It was just like the roof just needed to be replaced. It's major, but it wasn't, you know, it didn't tear the house down. So yeah, I can't blame nobody for my behavior but me.
So were you an alcoholic? Are you saying that?
I was. You know, I guess I'm a runner though, you know, instead of dealing with things, because I do have anger issues, I just try to put stuff behind me.
Yeah.
I overlook a lot of stuff. And, you know, I've been learning to deal with, I've been reading some books, I've been learning to deal with it better, you know what I'm saying? Not aggressively, not passive aggressively, but being more assertive. So, you know,
direct.
I'm learning, I'm trying to make the best of this downtime now.
How did you go from alcohol to what drugs?
Well, I mean, now that's $1 million question. Just experimenting, and I guess I can't blame the alcohol, but when you start drinking, you lose a lot of your fear and inhibition. So it probably gave me the courage to try things that I probably wouldn't have. And just the way things is out there now, you'll be trying them, and then you do it every so often. And then all of a sudden now you get into a habit of doing it, and then next thing you know, you're dependent on it. So, you know, it was gradual. It took a couple of years, but yeah, that was the
What
worst
were you
mistake.
addicted to?
I was doing heroin. Yes, ma'am. And worst thing ever, you know what I'm saying? Because I come from a real loving family, and no one in my family was into drugs. So I withdrew. And that's another thing that cost me to be in here is I wasn't around my support team, and I got away from myself. I got away from being around the people who loved me and cared about me, and start being around people who used me, you know, because like I said, I kept a job, or I kept a way to have money, and, you know, I ain't a selfish person, and I was around a lot of people. When you deal with drugs, you deal with a lot of people who fake friendships, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And they have ulterior motives. And I'm proud to say this time when I came back, I had quit on my own. I mean, it's crazy. I'm not even ashamed of it. It's just, I don't know. I take it that it was my higher power. I got out of here last year around this same time. It was right after the 4th of July. And it was kind of unexpected. I had some money on my books. They let me out late. I don't know if it was because of the pandemic, but it was like 10:30-ish. I'm like, I'm just gonna walk home. I stayed in North County, Chambers. I've been cooped up. I'm gonna walk home. And the bus came. I hopped on. He let me on. I didn't have cash. They give you a card, and it took me to the Hanley station. I usually know a lot of people up there. It was vacant. Kind of walk the rest of the way home to Chambers and Hall's Ferry. Out of nowhere, the 61 bus comes. He pulls over, lets me on the bus. I'm gonna still go home, but it was the devil let me right over there. As soon as I get off the bus off of Chambers and Hall's Ferry, I run into my old dealer. Now I'm feeling good, looking good, healthy. He see me, man, what's up, man? I'm good. Da-da-da. I ain't messing with none of that stuff. Oh, well, you should make some money. Here, gave me $100 worth of dope. Told me I didn't owe him nothing. Now I'm not going home. I actually end up dying that night, like ODing, and I went out, had to get hit with Narcan. Like, oh, well, it's just because I've been locked up. I'm cool. Did it again a little bit the next day and went out again. And I ain't picked up drugs since. I gave everything away. You know what I mean? So
since that time,
yeah, and right. And like I say, now I can't predict that I'm past it, because like you say, once an addict, always an addict. I heard this one guy in the book I was reading, it say addiction is kind of like comparing the grape and the raisin. once a grape becomes a raisin, it can never become a grape again. So,
That's deep.
I use that analogy, but I don't think that I don't have to be a practicing addict no more. I haven't had the
Right.
desire, and sad to say, I come here so frequently that people who I left last time are still here, and we've been able to talk and, encourage each other. The celly I'm in the room with, he has a business that I kind of excel at, and I got a job waiting. So it's just stuff is lining up, and I just pray that, things can work out this time.
Do you? There's a lot of crime out there connected to, addiction.
Yeah.
Is that you were addicted and started stealing, or no?
I mean,
did it just change?
No, I've never been a thief. I've never stole from my parents or nothing like that. And I'm not gonna say I didn't steal from anybody, because I was breaking into vacant buildings, taking scrap metal out of them. I could never go break into a single parent's home and steal our possessions or his possessions. I couldn't live with myself. I like to delude myself and say I had a victimless crime, but that property belonged to somebody and I was costing somebody. But it wasn't that. It's just that I was just a by any means person. Like, I'm not gonna wake up, I gotta go steal something. I'll go try to cut your grass, paint, or do something constructive. But with my drug of choice, you only got a few hours in the morning, and then you pretty much debilitated. So, it just depends.
What's your plan for when you get out of here?
It all depends on what happens with with my case. I got over 450 days on a 3-year sentence. So if the judge sees fit to send me to the penitentiary, it'll be a short stay, but that will derail what my plan is, because I kind of want to I did my best when I was out of St. Louis, and the type of person I am, I just need to get tunnel vision. My kids are straight, thank God, right now. They grown enough to where they can come back and forth to where I'm at. So I just need to get somewhere and get tunnel vision and focus on.
That is Tarek. He's 40 years old, in the St. Louis County Jail, a detainee there on a probation violation. Coming up next after a break, his advice on how we address the crime issue in our region. It's 11:48. St. Louis Talks on KMOX. Listen, because you can and because you want to, let's turn your backyard into a place where you want to be. And not only you, but your kids, your grandkids, your neighbors. This is the place where you want to sit under the pergola and read a good book or have a glass of wine or a cup of coffee in the morning. Call Chesterfield Fence and Deck, my friends. They will transform your backyard into just a place like that. Just look at your yard. Maybe you can't imagine what the craftsmen at Chesterfield Fence and Deck can do. That's why you go to their showroom. It's like going to a home show, actually. They have an incredible showroom in Chesterfield. You can see examples of their fences, their decks, their sunrooms, and more, including the beautiful pergolas. Just call them right now, 636-532-4054. They can rehab your old deck as well. Call this month, mention my name, Carol Daniel, and get 20% off your next outdoor project with Chesterfield Fence and Deck, the sign you have the very best. It is 11:53. We continue our conversation with a detainee from the St. Louis County Jail in Clayton. He is 40-year-old Tarek. What advice do you have for how to reduce the amount of crime, if you have any advice at all? You don't.
I don't know. I mean, I can just say what I see, and it's a lot of different things that are in place that can work, but people got to choose to exploit them and take advantage of them. But it's nothing out here no more. It's just set up for everybody. When we was kids, we played. I'm 40 years old. I got kids in there in the pod now. We play basketball. I'm whooping them but they could beat you on the phone. You know what I'm saying? They know how to YouTube. You know, I remember it as a parent. I keep my kids close to me. All their friends was over, and they be over there. We got Wi-Fi, and I come in from work, and everybody's outside on the porch with their head down. You know.
So we gotta
No
get 'em
more
out,
Matthew
yeah.
Dickies. Like St. Louis used to go down in the city. It was baseball games going on. You know what I'm saying? People outside in the fire hydrant. I don't know. They open these gun laws up real crazy, and
How easy is it to get a gun?
yeah, the guns and the dope. It's never gonna be. It's the crime rate can't decrease with that combination, because drug addicts ain't built for 9 to 5s, and drug dealers ain't gonna settle for a 9 to 5.
Wow, that is profound.
That is 40-year-old Tarek, who when he walked in, I really thought that he was under the age of 30. I mean, he looked like he was 23 years old, and he has kids. He is separated from his wife. They are still legally married, but he had to call. A relative died, and he couldn't get a hold of anybody, and he called her and get a call from the jail. It's collect, and she accepted the call. And he said when she accepted that call, he thought, "Oh, maybe there's still a chance for us," because she accepted his call. So that's the second detainee, and there's 900. This is the largest jail in the state of Missouri. The second detainee to basically say to us, Bo, that there's nothing you can do.
But there has to be.
There has to be.
You want that hope. I mean, with all the jobs that we have open right now, 9.2 million in this country, right? I don't know what I don't know what that looks like. I don't know what a guy like that wakes up thinking. But I don't know.
But the way that he explained himself, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Insightful. He said the words, "I've deluded myself into thinking I had a victimless crime," but he knows that's not true.
Sure.
Because that property he stole belonged to somebody. So very intelligent person. And how many people have said that when you talk to criminals? They're intelligent.
Right. And so that proves to me that, he talks about playing with his friends and stuff as kids. That's where we have to start. We have to start at that avenue as opposed to getting into the war that's on the streets. I don't know.
I think we have to continue to try to walk and chew gum. I mean, we just have to, because these people are worth something. We can't just close the door and throw away the key.
Yeah.
We just can't.
So true.
So we will hear from another detainee tomorrow right here on St. Louis Talks. Coming up on our Newsmaker at noon, the new CEO and president of the YWCA Metro St. Louis.
At 12 noon, it's a cloudy sky, 77 degrees downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun. Our top story, consumer prices are on the rise. The latest report from the Labor Department shows the biggest rise in 13 years in June. CBS's Jill Schlesinger explains.
One way to try to account for the COVID effect is to compare prices with where they were 2 years ago. And on that basis, prices are still higher. Overall prices up by 3% from June of 2019.
Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell has said higher inflation should be transitory, and he expects supply chains to normalize and adapt. A handcuffed detainee escaped from police while being taken into a hospital overnight. The 32-year-old detainee was being held at the St. Louis Downtown Justice Center. Police did not say outside which hospital the escape happened. Texas Republicans are authorizing law enforcement to find and bring back more than 50 legislators who fled to Washington. Democrats left the state to block passage of sweeping new voting restrictions. Texas Governor Greg Abbott tells KVUE-TV.
As soon as they come back in the state of Texas, they will be arrested. They will be cabined inside the Texas Capitol until they get their job done.
It's not clear whether state troopers would actually be sent to Washington, where they'd have no jurisdiction to make arrests. The U.S. has seen a string of COVID-19 outbreaks tied to summer camps in recent weeks in places including Illinois and Missouri, in what some fear could be a preview of the upcoming school year.
Health officials say the outbreaks are happening because of a combination of the new Delta variant and too many unvaccinated people. One summer camp in Missouri sent out emails about an outbreak, and there was a note on its Facebook page, but no mention on its website. Masks and other COVID prevention items are not mentioned on a what to bring list. A Houston area camp had 130 positive tests, 85 from one in Illinois, 55 from one in Kansas. All those camps linked to churches. Peter King, CBS News.
AP correspondent Rita Foley reports on what the Coast Guard is saying to those planning to ferry supplies to Cubans taking to the streets in protest.
The Coast Guard in Miami is warning that it'll be working with authorities to monitor what it calls unsafe and illegal crossings between Florida and Cuba. Some of those saying they plan to make the 10-hour boat trip to show support for protesters in Cuba say they plan to bring food, medicine, and guns.
A big announcement at the Chase, where wrestling returns in late August after almost 40 years. Nick Aldis is the current National Wrestling Alliance world champion.
Obviously, in the St. Louis area, familiar with it. It's one of those events that kind of transcends wrestling, especially to people in this local community.
There'll be 4 nights of wrestling from August 28th through 31st, including an all-women's event. The Jefferson Bank and Trust business desk, United Airlines, says it's investing in a startup that hopes to build small electric-powered planes that might be flying in a few years. United didn't say how much it's investing in Sweden-based Hart Aerospace. United says the startup's ES-19 has the potential to carry passengers short distances by the end of the decade. The Dow from Stifel is down 46 points to 34,949. This news is sponsored by English Sweep, solving strong fireplace odors. Right now, some debris 270 northbound of the ramp from Tesson Ferry. Watch out there. Emergency vehicles on Dunn going east at Imperial Drive. Use an alternative route if possible. And an accident 270 westbound past Lindbergh. That one's on the right shoulder.
Can't rule out a spotty shower east of the Mississippi for this afternoon. Otherwise, clouds break for some sunshine, high of 85 degrees. And for tonight, clear skies, low 71. Turning hot for tomorrow, high up to 93 degrees. This is AccuWeather meteorologist Matt Benz and the voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
Cloudy and 77 in St. Peter's, 77 in Florissant, and 77 downtown at the Arch. The Odyssey app is your home for KMOX and hundreds of exclusive music stations. Download the app and find a playlist for you. Odyssey, AUDACY. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
They serve 8,000 women and families in the metro area. That is the YWCA. And as of yesterday, this incredible organization is under new leadership. We say congratulations to the new CEO and president of the YWCA Metro St. Louis. She joins us now, Dr. Cheryl Watkins-Moore, on the Quiver River Electric Cooperative guest line. Dr. Watkins-Moore, congratulations and welcome to St. Louis Talks on KMOX.
Thanks so much, Carol. It's great to be speaking with you again.
Absolutely. So I know that you come out of the STEM arena. Why did you want to take on this job?
Well, this just really elongates the activity that I've been doing in this region for a long time. And as I said in my announcement, it really crosses my passion with working with women in our region with a purpose that I have, and that is making sure that we are including everyone in our region for economic prosperity here. So I am thrilled to be leading this organization, to be a servant leader for this organization, and having such a wonderful team in place that can execute and grow our organization to be more impactful in the region.
Well, Dr. Watkins-Moore, congratulations on your new position. For those that are listening, can you explain some of the major things that the YWCA of Metro St. Louis does? Because a lot of people think of the YMCA as, it's the gym, it's where my kids play baseball or whatever. What is the YWCA? Because Carol kind of referenced some of the things in our pre-show meeting, and I was like, what? They do that?
Yes. Many people don't know that the YW has already made great impact in our region. The YWCA has great history, over 100 years of impact in the St. Louis region. But we have one of the largest Head Start operations here in the St. Louis market and second largest in the state. So we are serving over close to 2,000 families in Head Start. And this is in 2020. So our numbers, of course, will probably rise with that. We also serve women who are in crisis situations. So women who are homeless, women who are coming out of domestic violence or abuse type of situations or sexual assault. So, that's more than 2,000 women in our region that we are currently serving. We also have opportunity for teens in our region, especially young women in our region, with programs that we have for young women here, and that's I would say about 600 teens that we are developing. We have a racial justice view with wonderful classes, or I don't want to say classes, but they are opportunities to learn more about racial justice, to learn more about, just critical, I don't want to say critical race theory, but more around looking at our community from a racial lens. And then housing is another opportunity that we support women in. And these are women who might need housing because they're in a situation where they are homeless. So we provide these different social services that provide, I think, the social structure for women in our community. And we're looking at building on that. Actually, I'm looking at taking the connections, the relationships that I've built on the entrepreneurship side and workforce development side in the region, and being able to bring that here to the YWCA to increase opportunities for economic empowerment and pathways for prosperity for women in our region.
You are stealing my next question with your answer there, Dr. Moore. And that is, I was going to say to you that why do I have the sense that as a physician by training, you have an MBA as well, but you're going to take this work you did with BioSTL and the STEM Entrepreneurial Inclusion Initiative that you created that was recognized nationally. Why do I get the feeling that you're not just going to help women in crisis, but help women to not even have to be in crisis in the first place?
Absolutely. And that is the thought, is that I think this organization, the YW, is especially well suited to not only provide that social support, but also provide this opportunity for women and communities and others to really build pathways of prosperity. When we talk about, economic empowerment, I'm always focused on, we have a huge wealth gap in our country and in our city. And ways to decrease that wealth gap is either through entrepreneurship opportunities for employment, great employment and great jobs. So being able to connect women into these opportunities for greater employment opportunities is something I'm really looking forward to, as well as connecting them to training opportunities. One of the areas we always talk about, people talk about, you can go to college and get this great degree and go on and do, really impactful things. You can also do things by going into the trades, which I certainly want to bring that conversation into our overall economic empowerment piece, because the trades, they're looking for women right now. And I think this is a great opportunity to start to pathway folks into that industry as well.
What is the greatest challenge? I hear from so many nonprofits, and full disclosure here, I was on the board of the YWCA for many years. Is fundraising one of the greatest challenges you face, especially coming out of a pandemic that we're not completely out of, but is that one of the greatest challenges?
I think, because I sat on this board too, I sat on the board when Adrian, I think, first was here at the Y, and Adrian and I are friends. So I am filling some big shoes here. But you're absolutely right. Capital for any organization is always key. So fundraising is a big focus for us, but we're also looking at how do we create opportunities for new enterprises that can be a source of revenue as well, so that we're not totally dependent on grants and on charitable donations, even though I certainly wouldn't turn them down, trust me. But we are looking for other opportunities of revenue. I am an entrepreneur by heart. I'm a serial entrepreneur. And as I tell people, nonprofits status is a tax status. You still have to be sustainable.
And when you say Adrian Bracey, the recently retired president and CEO of the YWCA, yes.
Yes. She has done a wonderful job in making sure that this organization is stable, is also financially sound, and the board is looking forward to for us to really move forward to the next level and looking at what new opportunities we can bring to this region. And I am thrilled, like I said, to be able to explore new opportunities, to expand the relationships that I already have in this region, and to grow this organization.
Well, Head Start, Doctor, is a term that a lot of people have known for a long time. And for those that don't, it provides preschool and early learning services to more than 1 million children for low-income families just through locally operated centers, including the St. Louis area. But when you spoke a few minutes ago about seeing it and teaching it through a racial lens, could you explain that a little bit more? As far as how does that translate into a lesson or lessons for young people?
Well, I think that all of our young people need to be culturally aware. I leave that to my head of Head Start and the wonderful instructors and teachers over there to really engage, our children in just understanding how we have a vibrancy when we include all. And when we do, I did a lot of work on diversity, equity, and inclusion on the BioSCL side when I was leading the inclusion initiative here for our region. And one of the things is I think it's a constant, is that you need diversity, and not only in organizations, but in communities, in everything that we do, so that we bring the best for any opportunity. And our children growing up in the multicultural community, multicultural city, nation, it only benefits them more to learn about, how each one of us brings a great vibrancy and how we all contribute to building a solid community.
That is Dr. Cheryl Watkins Moore, the newly announced, just yesterday actually, CEO and president of the YWCA Metro St. Louis. Congratulations to you. Thanks for joining us on St. Louis Talks on KMOX.
Thank you, Carol. Thank you so much for the call.
That is Dr. Cheryl Watkins Moore with us on the Quiver River Electric Cooperative Guest Line. Coming up next, we're going to talk about, we talked about it an hour ago, the Great Reset, the Great Resignation that is coming.
Confusing.
It is confusing. We'll find out more about it coming up next on KMOX.
I'll start it.
Well, it is 12:20. St. Louis Talks. Carol and Bo with you. Ryan Recker is on vacation. So it's called the Great Resignation. And every time we talk about the number of jobs that are available and the number of people that are quitting, it is just, it's a fascinating issue to me, but it's a very real issue because that means that jobs are going unfilled. And I mean, there was this story recently of the employees in mass who walked out of a Burger King and said, "We quit." Yeah, that just happened. So joining us from Western University, Dr. Julie Palmer is an HR professor there. Welcome to St. Louis Talks on the Quiver River Electric Cooperative Guest Line, Dr. Palmer.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So many of us want to know, why is this happening?
Well, there's multiple reasons on multiple levels. So as human beings, when we're in a state of uncertainty, we tend to not make major changes, right? We've had 15 months of uncertainty with the pandemic. So that's, in my opinion, that's the biggest factor. And then the next factor is during those 15 months, we've maybe had more time to think about, well, I don't spend an hour commuting anymore. Do I want to return to that? Or do I really want to give my employer 50 hours a week? Or do I want to pare it down to maybe 30, 35 hours a week? Or maybe I want to be more in charge of my own schedule. So in my mind, there's multiple factors that are affecting this idea that over the next few months, we're going to see a huge number of employees walk out or not walk back in.
Well,
right?
We've already started seeing some of the states refusing, including the state of Missouri, the federal stimulus money that was being put out there. The stimulus
extra unemployment money.
Yeah. Not the infrastructure, but yes, the extra unemployment money. And people have gotten used to those checks coming in and have kind of leveled out. But that's going to come to an end. It has to come to an end. Otherwise, that's socialism.
Right. But irrespective of whether or not that comes to an end, I believe the last 15 months has given people an opportunity to think many, many more times about where they want to spend their time. And there are those that cannot wait to get back into the office, but when they have gotten back into the office, they found it's not the same as it was. So there's that demographic where they're not going to be happy in their jobs anymore. So that's part of those that are probably going to walk away or find something else. You know, I mean, the idea is trying for companies to try and get out in front of this. So to realize that there's going to be some employees that aren't happy to have to return, offer them a hybrid or remote option, right? Give them more flexibility in their work or schedule their own things, because that's what they've had for 15 months and that's what they still want.
Dr. Palmer, I got to tell you, it's a whole lot easier getting a text from my boss, whether it's good, bad, or ugly, than it is, face to face. So there's that mindset as well. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. I'm a huge texter myself, and it saves a ton of time.
And I want to be clear, and I don't know that it is socialism with the unemployment, because we have unemployment. We've always had, not always, but we've had unemployment for a long time. But we're talking about people who have jobs, not people who are unemployed, but people who have jobs, are we not, who are going to leave those jobs. And the question of what employers can do, because the reset is coming for your workplace, because you're gonna face a workplace possibly where you have fewer people, so few of you doing the same thing because half the staff is left.
Exactly. And that's why I said employers need to get out in front of this now. Know that there are going to be people that aren't happy to come back to work. Know that there are some people that want to come back to work and maybe there's not a place for them. Reach out to them, offer them flexibility, be more open with your communication, keep doing those Zoom calls. All of those are things that if you put these things in place, then you maybe stand a chance of not losing a large percentage of your workforce that you really can't afford to lose.
Do you find that, in your studying and your teaching of the topic, do you find that companies are not at all prepared for what is about to happen?
Absolutely. And we've been in a period of uncertainty where the best laid plans were a waste of time. And so I believe that companies are in this state of inertia right now where they're hesitant to make any major changes. And this is when they need to start doing their planning, because I mean, I may be wrong, but I think we're seeing the end. I mean, the end is in sight. The end wasn't in sight last year. I think it's in sight now. We can safely say probably by the end of this year that things are going to go back to a semi-normal state.
But there is a prediction that by 2027 that the gig economy, the freelancers are going to make up about 50% of workers by that year, and that's going to go by really quick.
I've read that statistic, and I'm a little bit of a pessimist when it comes to looking that far ahead. I think that's an overestimate, but that's my opinion.
Yeah, because things still need to get done by hand. They have, like our previous guest at the YWCA, we need skilled craftspeople to do jobs like physical. You can't get a robot to pave the road out in front of the building.
Oh, just you wait.
Oh,
great. Okay, well, I'm out on that job. It is frightening to see, because I think people are forgetting one thing, that if you're listening and you do not have a job and you're just the money's coming in from the stimulus or the unemployment or whatever you're working with, it's still a mindset. You feel I know I was on the beach for almost 3 years and doing the freelancing thing, if you will. It just feels so much better to come into work and to be around people and have Carol bring me a breakfast sandwich and a cookie too.
Now, let me take from what he is saying, Dr. Palmer, because I know you're talking about, from an HR standpoint, what you're focused on, what companies can do to find somebody like Bo, who was, when he says on the beach, unemployed, somewhat full-time anyway, to find people who want to, who miss coming in, who miss, somebody taking their parking space, who miss
the breakfast sandwich,
the coworker who talks too much. You got, so
is that me?
That's not you.
Might be.
So there is that piece that you want to appeal to people who want that. But the other piece that companies often don't think about is making your workplace more attractive to the people you already have, so that they want to be there.
That's
the harder piece. But that is not, culture is not unchangeable. It is something that you can change over time. So you can make it such that employees are listened to. Employees have more autonomy. All of those things kind of play into the, I want to come to work because of the breakfast sandwich and because I have some control over my own work environment.
Okay, so I would say this to those that are, sitting on the couch and maybe not doing a full-time job. There, we all know there's plenty of work jobs out there, and there's a lot of incentives. That's what Carol and I were talking about before the show. It's like, look at all these jobs that are offering $1,000 signing bonus or something like that to the companies, to the managers. How about incentivizing the people you have to throw them some baseball tickets?
Listen, I never got a thing, and I'm going to say this, and my boss can come in here at any moment now, right? So I was the skeleton crew that was here during the pandemic, and the tumbleweeds were blowing and coyotes were walking down Market Street here in downtown St. Louis.
It felt like that, didn't it?
And there were months. Months you felt like you were on an island. So that's a great question, Bo. Dr. Palmer, you're already saying the companies are not prepared for should this great resignation happen. So surely they're not saying to the employees who held down the fort during the pandemic, thank you.
Absolutely not. No. I think what they probably need to do, some of the research that I've read suggests give those people more vacations now. Talk to them about pay before they come to you, because if it's at the point where they come to you, then they have one foot out the door, right?
They do. That's a very good point.
And now, this is a greater issue because of the pandemic, because I would imagine that companies trying to retaining talent has always been an issue.
Right.
But it's harder now because of the pandemic.
Right. It's just one of those issues that's now exacerbated because of the last 15 months. But it's not something that's out of the company's purview. It is something that companies can take steps to address.
I would think so. And, the hotel guy that we talked to in St. Louis, They had hundreds of jobs. You go to Tesla.com and look on their careers page, there are hundreds of jobs.
Yeah, but you're not qualified to do that.
No. You don't understand. They want just passionate people. You can go into a Tesla job with a high school education in some cases and be around that and learn from that. I mean, how often have we heard about the janitor moving up to CEO? I mean, it's been done.
Rarely do we hear that, but it happens. It happens. Dr. Palmer, we got to revisit this topic because you're saying the companies are not ready. So we definitely have some more to chat about here.
That sounds good.
All right.
Good.
That is Dr.
All right.
Julie Palmer, who is an HR professor at Webster University, joining us on the Quiver River Electric Cooperative Guest Line. Dr. Palmer, thank you. We'll chat again.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too. The news is next on St. Louis Talks.
At 12:30, it's cloudy and 77 degrees downtown at the Arch. St. Louis police confirmed they're searching for an escaped detainee from the City Justice Center. The handcuffed 32-year-old detainee was being walked into a hospital by police about 1:30 this morning when he ran and got away from officers. Police say the detainee escaped custody at St. Louis University Hospital on South Grand. A federal judge has agreed to free an Iowa man from jail more than 6 months after his videotaped confrontation of a police officer inside the U.S. Capitol became one of the most menacing images of the January 6th riots. Douglas Jensen was wearing a T-shirt bearing a symbol of the QAnon conspiracy theory when he joined the mob that approached Capitol Police Officer Eugene Goodman inside the building and followed the officer up 2 flights of stairs. Hundreds of people in South Central Oregon were under mandatory evacuation orders. County officials said those who ignored them could face citations or arrest. They're fleeing the bootleg fire around the National Forest. They're told to evacuate because of imminent danger. Tim McCartley says it's different when you're involved than hearing about it on the news.
You hear reports of this and these people there, and you go, oh, poor people, that's horrible. But when you're with them, experiencing the same thing and hearing stories.
Our forecast is going to be a spotty shower this afternoon east of the Mississippi River, mostly with a high of 85 degrees. And then overnight tonight, the low 71. Sponsored by Chesterfield Fence and Deck, your premier provider of fences, decks, patios, sunrooms, and more. Call them for a free estimate today. Now offering 20% off your next outdoor project. Chesterfield Fence and Deck, chesterfieldfence.com. 77 downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
It's time to save some money. We really want to save money everywhere we shop, everywhere we turn. You're always looking for your best deal. Okay, let's talk about saving big money. Golden Oak Lending is where you're going to get that. The legal stuff I've got to say is NMLS 114937, 11737 Administration Drive, St. Louis, Missouri. That's where you can find them. But you know what? You can also find them on your phone or on your computer. And I want you to check out their Speedy Zipline tool. Even if you've never ziplined in your life, zipline this time. You don't have to get harnessed and helmeted up. Go to goldenoaklending.com to find out how much money you can save, because if you refinance with Golden Oak Lending, even if you've done that in the last year or two, they can still possibly lower your rate and even further. You can skip 2 mortgage payments. That's another bonus. And if your loan doesn't close for any reason, the appraisal is no charge. They say that because nobody else does that. So if money is tight, trust me, go to goldenoaklending.com, look for the Zipline tool. You will be on your way to saving a lot of money every month, and they'll show you how to do it. It's so easy. Golden Oak Lending is where you want to get a hold of. Go to goldenoaklending.com. Tell them Bo sent you.
Welcome back to St. Louis Talks. And you just heard the big boy voice there, as we call him, Dave King, talking about the All-Star game. Well, we decided, okay, baseball's well and good, but we have St. Louis All-Stars. So all this week, each day, we are talking to, and there are many, but we just chose 5, but there are many All-Stars.
It was hard to pick.
It was hard to pick. It was hard to reach out. But not to Karen Foss, who joins us now on the Quiver River Electric Cooperative Guest Line. Yes, I said the one and only, 27 years at KSDK. There she is, that voice you love, Karen Foss. It is so good to talk to you.
Oh, thank you, Carol. You make my head swell. You have to watch that.
Need a bigger hat.
What do you miss about the business? Anything at all?
Oh, I do miss the immediacy, and being the first to know what's happening all the time. But mostly coworkers, not anything about daily work so much. I think I'm a pretty good, happy retiree.
Because you retired in December of 2006. Were you
From KSDK?
From KSDK. And then you went to Ameren, I think, right?
To Ameren.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I've read that I left KSDK in order to do that. That isn't true. I really was finished with TV news, and Ameren just came along, and it sounded intriguing, and then I ended up truly enjoying it.
And I'm glad you brought that up. I was curious about the thought process for you then in retiring, and was it something that had been on your mind for a few years, or did you wake up one morning and say, this is it?
I had a friend who was a former producer, and she and I have stayed friends for a long time. And she left KSDK, I think probably early 80s, and to follow her husband's career. And she said to me at one point, she said, "You were afraid to retire." I said, "That's ridiculous. What are you talking about?" She said, No, think about it. And as it happened, I had some vacation time coming up, and coincidentally, I came to Santa Fe. And I spent that week just hiking and thinking, and realized that there was a lot of truth to what she was saying. I'd worked since I was 14 years old. I was used to getting up, going to work, doing my job, getting a paycheck, and going home. And I kind of didn't know how else to live. So
she was right.
She was right, and it was right then. And I went into my bosses at Ameren and said, I'm finished.
Wow.
And they were great. And I did continue to do some consulting work with them for a while, not to leave them in the lurch, just walk out the door. But I did it.
And what did you do for them at Ameren?
It was customer communications. Worked on, at the time, it was Ameren. There was Union Electric in Missouri. There was Ameren, Illinois. There was Ameren Corporate. Helped bring that all under one umbrella and streamline the naming protocols. We redesigned the logo and the motto, and there was a lot of work to be done. And it was really rewarding work. And I was, I wish that every reporter could spend some time working in business before they become a reporter, because I learned so much that would have helped me previously, understand better what was going on. And I never heard anyone say anything there that couldn't have appeared on the front page of the newspaper and would not have embarrassed them. And I was surprised they took so much heat. And I know you've gone through a period of power outages recently. But people would say things, oh, well, if they didn't have corporate jets and company cars and this, they don't have any of that. I know some utility companies do, but they don't. They're really straight shooters.
So so did you mention New Mexico? Is that where your retirement is?
Yes.
Beautiful
I'm
part of
living
the
in
country.
Santa Fe. I do love it.
Yeah, it is. So can I go back to memories of here? Because just last week we had Cindy Pressler actually on to talk about the hurricanes that were in Florida, who is not retired, but your paths have crossed. I'm sure. I don't know if you stay in touch.
Yes. We were good friends. Yes.
If you think of all of the stories that you delivered to St. Louisans on a nightly basis, what's one positive one that just sticks out that you will always remember?
Or 10 or 20, because I know.
No, you only get one. Karen, you only get one.
Oh, gosh, there were, as an anchor, you don't get to do much original reporting. You're more like the host, you bring all the pieces together and present it to the community. So there was one story that I worked on that turned out very well and made me very happy. And it had the potential to go sideways, certainly. A young mother whose children had been kidnapped by her former husband. And it was fascinating because she was dealing with both the FBI and the local police. And I learned so much about what was going on. For instance, the police, who had only interviewed the mother, had the children listed as white. The mother was white. The FBI had the children listed as black because the father, who they already had knowledge of, was black. Nobody had really asked. And these were mixed race children.
Right.
So the two agencies were at cross purposes, and neither one of them even had the option of mixed race.
Wow.
And somebody said to me at one time, well, we do have Spanish. I said, well,
just use
great,
that.
but,
Nobody cares.
Wow.
Just use that. Wow.
Just blend the two together and call them Spanish. No, it was just crazy.
Yeah.
And so that was very rewarding to be involved in that. And ultimately, she did recover her children.
What common questions did viewers use to stop and ask you?
The single most often asked question, and sometimes it was a compliment, and sometimes it was a complaint.
Oh no!
Was who cuts your hair?
Because here it is. Who cuts your hair? Or who cuts your hair?
It can come like that. Yes, yes. You never quite know what you're going to get. And then the other probably is not a question, but I would so often people would say, "You know what you ought to do." And I'm sure you get this too.
Yeah. When did you start painting?
Well, even in high school, I liked art classes. I mean, that was what I really enjoyed doing. And I didn't start college until I was in my 20s and a young mother. And I started out as an art student, wanted to study painting. And at some point in there, I was beginning to question whether I got good enough grades, but would I really be able to support myself and two young children as a quote artist? And I also wanted to take a photography class. It was offered in the communications department. And once I got in there and started studying radio and TV history and production, and I thought, this has career potential. This really might be something I'd like to do.
Wow.
So that kind of introduced me. And then I was fortunate to get a job at the CBS affiliate in Kansas City while I was still in school, and just kept hanging around, moving up.
And are you painting as a business or for pleasure in New Mexico?
Pleasure. There are plenty of artists far more capable than I am. I've sold a few little things here and there, and I am actually talking with, this is kind of premature, with a gallery in St. Louis, so I might have a little show.
Breaking news.
Totally.
Yeah, right.
Totally. Right here in St. Louis Talks. You heard it here first.
Yeah, you know
Yeah,
what?
right.
Karen,
when that happens, Bo.
we should. Yeah.
Yes.
Karen, before we let you go, I have to ask you just your perspective. We just had Megan Lynch explain to us, and actually it was somebody else, that her cohort here at KMOX, that the news cycle used to be a 24-hour news cycle, and now it's a 10-minute news cycle. Your perspective looking down that road.
My hat is off to anybody who can keep up. That was the hardest thing in the job. I loved every aspect of it. I loved the interviewing. I loved the research. I loved the writing. I liked working as a team with other talented people. But it was the increasing pressure to speed it up that I really was concerned about, because I think there's benefit in reflection and taking a breath and consulting. What do we really have here, and what does it mean?
Right.
Not just there's a car crash at 12th and Washington, say, or Tucker and Washington, but okay, there've been 27 in the last month. Why?
Right.
I don't like that spot news mentality very much. It doesn't suit me personally. I'm much more reflective and care about the why.
Well, it is a joy to hear your voice again on St. Louis airwaves, and that is Karen Foss, who retired from KSDK in December 2006, but then went on for how many years with Ameren?
About 4.
4 years with Ameren, and now is living the high life.
I am. It's the slow life. People say, "What do you do in retirement?" I say, "I go slowly." And Carol, I know what your life is like, and you don't go slowly. Someday you will.
She talks about being in the window, though, Karen.
I'm in the window. My husband is dragging me, Karen, kicking and screaming. I'm no longer kicking, and I'm no longer screaming.
Think about it.
In the retirement
congratulations.
window. Thank
Congratulations on your new show, both of you, and also your anniversary, Carol, as I know from Facebook.
Yes. You were at KSDK for 27 years. We've been married for 27 years.
Right.
That's
yes.
great.
Yes. Well, Karen, thank you so much for joining us. And we do consider you a St. Louis All-Star.
I'm complimented. Have a great day.
You as well. And when that show happens, please let us know. Karen Foss joining us on the Quiver River Electric Cooperative Guest Line on St. Louis Talks.
If you haven't heard, Chuck's Boots is giving away a beautiful side-by-side. It is a Polaris 1000, and they've teamed up with Thorogood. Now, I have to tell you, I'm gonna make a post on Facebook. I have a pair of Thorogood boots that I've had for 5 years, and a brand new pair that I've not even put my feet in yet. But these are the toughest, most comfortable, supportive boots. And all you have to do to win this beautiful side-by-side with Chuck's Boots and Thorogood is to go to their website, chucksboots.com, or their Facebook page. Put your name, your first and last name, phone number, and email address. No purchase necessary. But if you see those beautiful side-by-sides coming back from a weekend of mud and dirt, and you're like, man, I want one. Well, you could get one. They're giving one away. Chuck's Boots, boot shopping and clothing and everything else in Fenton and in St. Peter's. Online, you can do the shopping too at chucksboots.com with free shipping over items of $99. But that's easy to do because Chuck's Boots has a great selection. But you want to win that Polaris General 1000, chucksboots.com and Chuck's Boots Facebook page, and I wish you luck.
So thank you again to Karen Foss for joining us, and a little bit of breaking news in there that she's talking to someone about doing a showing of her work, because I've seen it on Facebook of her paintings. She is really talented. So should that happen, I hope we're the ones to break you that news of when and where.
Is she a scenery or is she a
Yes.
figure type
Scenery.
of painter?
I have not seen one where there are people in
Okay.
it, but definitely landscape.
Okay. Well,
Yeah, so-
tomorrow, our guest for the St. Louis Talks All-Star list is none other than race car superstar of this area, Kenny Schrader. Kenny Wallace is crying in his beer right now. Sorry, Kenny. But Kenny Schrader is a dear friend of mine for many years. And so I reached out to him and said, hey, you know what? We consider you an all-star. And he
I
said,
didn't know who he was at first. Let me just
come
say
on,
that.
really?
I didn't know. You said Kenny. I know who Kenny Wallace is. I don't know all the race car drivers. Like you don't know all the I don't know all of anybody. I don't know all the NBA players. I don't know. But
them are people.
he's our people. He's our people.
He's a great guy. He's a funny guy, and he still has his hands in racing. I don't know the last time he got behind the wheel, other than going down to go get a cup of coffee. But Kenny Schrader, he and I go way back, and really looking forward to catching up with him because
So
it's
he's-
been a couple of years since I've seen him.
Yeah, so he's tomorrow, and then Mike Shannon's anniversary is Thursday. We have a special on KMOX Thursday evening, and so we're going to talk to Pat Shannon, his daughter, who is such a great storyteller, and to hear her talk about those days as a child growing up in the ballpark and what her parents taught her when you're sitting in the stands and people are talking about your dad negatively. How are you supposed to handle that? Pat Shannon joins us on our St. Louis All-Stars Thursday, and then Friday, Zipper Zeppa, who I've never met, so I'm so excited to chat with him.
I got a great story about him too, and I'm going to reveal it.
Oh,
breaking news!
My.
On St. Louis Talks on Friday. That'll be perfect. Is he retired or?
I believe so. Are you afraid to retire? Karen Foss said to somebody somebody told her, "Are you afraid to retire?" I'm kind of afraid.
Are you?
A little bit. I mean, there's a financial part of it. There's what will I do? I mean, that's a real issue. So glad you brought that up.
Something to think about.
Something to think about. Coming up, we're going to talk more about the latest in the theft of catalytic converters. That's in our press box, but the news is next on KMOX.
At 1 o'clock, it's a cloudy sky, 79 degrees downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun. Our top story, inflation heated up in June with record price gains for used cars and trucks. CBS's Jason Brooks.
The government's consumer price index in June rose 5.4% from a year earlier, topping market expectations, and it was the biggest gain since 2008. While most items were more expensive, used car and truck prices made up a third of the overall gain, rising 45% from a year earlier. The Federal Reserve has insisted that inflation has been a transitory reaction to the rebounding economy and that the central bank is comfortable with inflation moving above its long-held target of 2% for a temporary period of time.
Energy prices were up 24% from a year earlier, and food prices continued to rise. Dozens of Texas Democratic lawmakers in the state legislature left for Washington, D.C. in an effort to kill a Republican bill that they say would make it harder to vote in the state. Republican U.S. Senator John Cornyn compared their actions against a bill they oppose with efforts to change the filibuster on the federal level.
They came to Washington to try to convince the president and Senate Democrats to nuke the very Senate rule that protects the rights of the minority. In other words, you might say a filibuster for me, but not for thee.
Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer.
Many of these lawmakers from Texas have come to Washington. I will be meeting with a group of them today to plot out strategy and to praise them for what they are doing.
A handcuffed detainee escaped from police while being taken into St. Louis University Hospital overnight. The 32-year-old detainee was being held at the St. Louis Downtown Justice Center. A popular song that took over the world in 2013 could be banned from gyms in South Korea.
Sorry, Psy.
Oppan Gangnam Style.
Gangnam Style may be taken off of gym playlists in the greater Seoul region. It seems the music is too fast, and officials are worried the extra sweat and heavy breathing to keep up with the beat could place a strain on already rising COVID cases. The new rule bans gyms from playing music with a faster tempo than 120 beats per minute during group exercises like Zumba and spinning. But who can stay? Yep, BTS. Lisa Mateo, CBS News.
The Jefferson Bank and Trust Business Desk, a major company, is making a special pitch to military veterans. CBS's Jim Krasula has that.
Amazon says it will hire over 100,000 U.S. veterans and military spouses by 2024 with a starting wage of at least $15 an hour. The company already employs more than 40,000 veterans and military spouses.
The Dow from Stifel is down 73 points to 34,922. The news is sponsored by English Sweep, solving strong fireplace odors. Right now on the roadways, there's a stall on North Compton at 6440 eastbound. The right lane is closed. Emergency vehicles are on 6440 eastbound at Woods Mill Drive. That's got the right shoulder blocked. There's a stall 55 southbound before Bates, also on the shoulder, and some debris 270 northbound on the ramp from Tesson Ferry. Be prepared to stop there. Emergency vehicles on Dunn eastbound at Imperial Drive, and accident 270 westbound past Lindbergh. That one's been moved to the right shoulder. Weather is sponsored by the state of Illinois.
More and more sunshine on tap as we sail through our Tuesday afternoon. The big deal, it's dry with nice temperatures, at least for July. 84 for the high. Tonight, clear skies out of the 80s into the upper 70s this evening. Pretty nice evening. 69 for the low. Wednesday, partly sunny, increasing heat, increasing humidity. Wednesday afternoon, 92. The summer feel is back on Thursday, hot and humid, and 94. I'm meteorologist Dave Murray for the Voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
Cloudy and 79 in St. Peter's, 79 in Florissant, and 79 downtown at the Arch. The Odyssey app is your home for KMOX and hundreds of exclusive music stations. Download the app and find a playlist for you. Odyssey, AUDACY. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
Welcome back to St. Louis Talks. One more hour to go, and then it's the Dave Glover Show. We will check in with Rachel Zimmerman before all is said and done this hour on St. Louis Talks, and we'll also talk about the issue that staffing shortages are causing for small businesses, some in the Missouri region and across the country, really. It's called a loss of sales. That's happening. Thank you for listening to us right here at 11:20 a.m., and of course, you can catch us FM, which I do off at 98.7. And then I'm looking right at you people who are watching us on Facebook on St. Louis Talks. Go ahead and like our page, won't you? I always wave.
You do.
They can hear me, but I wave as well. I wave hello and I wave goodbye. So thanks for watching us. Lots of comments today. Kara Anthony is listening to us from Caseyville.
Oh, there's a conversation going on
There,
too.
oh, there is about our detainee, which we wanted to say, go to KMOX.com, click on podcast or show, 2 ways to get to the interviews, and you'll be able to go back and listen to anything you hear on KMOX.
And these are respectable conversations that are on this page, and we can't guarantee that's always going to be the case. I mean, keyboard warriors are keyboard warriors, but there's just different points of view, and that's what you get in social media, right?
Well, that's what you get in life. Yeah. I mean, you're married, I'm married. There's going to be a different point of view.
No, she tells me how to think.
She does not tell you how to think. I don't believe it.
Patrick, are you on my side? Come on, man.
Talk about keyboard warrior now. Don't get him started on his hard-headed wife.
I don't know what you're talking about.
It is time for Press Box right here on St. Louis Talks. And we have talked before on the show, and you've heard in KMOX News about the theft of catalytic converters. It's just, it's a crisis, really. It's happening all over. Well, Bo, you noticed this story on the My Leader paper that not only are they being stolen from, passenger cars, but school buses.
Well, it's interesting because when we talked to Didion Orff Recycling out west last week about it, it was about how much money they bring in, how much they cost to replace. And every time I see a Toyota Prius, I'm like, man, I hope you have a cage around your catalytic converter because those are the ones that bring in big money. And then I see this story on the leader, myleaderpaper.com, catalytic converters stolen from SUVs and school buses in Arnold and RVs out in Eureka. And I was like, I got to talk to this guy. And I think
that guy is Tony Krause.
It is from Leader Publications. Welcome to the show, Tony. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing well, guys. Thank you for having me on.
Is your catalytic converter still on your vehicle?
So far, so good on both our vehicles. They have stayed firmly under.
My take on this was, my first thought, I'll be honest with you, Carol, was, oh my goodness, everybody is a target. Everybody is a target in the theft of these things. Tell us what you discovered when you wrote these stories.
So far, I mean, yes, as you said, everyone's a target, and you're primarily looking at places where there are numerous vehicles parked. In Eureka, I have written about 11 thefts that have been reported since the start of the year, and they have ranged anywhere from commuter lots to, as you mentioned, an RV shop that both sells and does maintenance on RVs, and I believe also stores them. They happen at storage places, and then as I said, the Fox V6 school bus, was 2 of them on their bus lot right next to their service center right off of Jeffco. But it's a large lot that in the evening, it's not heavily monitored, and it's also higher vehicles. You'll see a lot of RVs and buses that you can get in and get out, and they can knock these things out if you know what you're doing in about a minute.
Wow. Now, regarding the bus lot, I thought those were locked up. I thought there was at least a chain link fence around that sort of a lot, but you're saying it's not monitored.
Surrounded by a chain link fence, and you have cameras, but cameras can only do so much when you got large vehicles that are taller than people. And there's also numerous times in these catalytic converter thefts when writing about them, just like at the RV stores, even at just your regular auto shop. Yeah, these vehicles are parked in fenced areas. They'll cut the fence.
Oh, that's a really good point, because that's easy and
they got cutting tools.
Well, exactly. Like a battery operated Sawzall is, I mean, I have a corded Sawzall. I'm old school.
And you say that on the air, Sawzall.
Okay.
Is it
it saws
saw?
Everything.
It's a saw.
It's a saw. It's an electric saw.
Okay.
That and it's fast, and it'll cut through metal in a heartbeat. But that's a good point. They're using that tool to cut the fence. And, and they're probably wearing a mask because they want to be COVID safe. And so you can't identify them, right? And then you get under them, and it takes a minute. My question, actually, when I saw this story, Tony, was how big is a catalytic converter on an RV or a school bus?
From everything I've been able to gather and seen from photos, really not that much bigger than one under a car.
Oh, okay.
And is it larger because they're larger vehicles to a degree, but it is not, it's not like all of a sudden you're walking out of there with a school bus tire. It's still a catalytic converter. It still fits nicely under there behind the muffler and on the exhaust system.
How much damage are we talking here?
Well, for the Rockwood school buses, for two of them having to cut off, they were estimating about $4,000 to replace and repair. So who knows how much you get for that when you turn the converter in. I don't think it's, you get $4,000 for two, but you're probably looking at least $1,000 if you want to get rid of it quick.
I would think, yeah. And I guess, the plea really has to go out to the recycling places, to be on the up and up. When we talked to Diddy and Orff, he said, we've turned people away, that it just didn't seem, because if you're coming in with your own personal pickup truck and you've got a couple of catalytic converters, it doesn't make sense if you don't work for a steel collection kind of place anyway, or mechanic shop or something like that. So I don't know. Everyone is a target is what is what came to mind. And I was just like, wow. And Priuses, though they sit so low to the ground, how do they even get those jacked up?
Jack it up, yeah.
To get them that quick, but this is crazy.
Now the SUV damage you wrote, it wasn't $2,000, but it was still significant given that a lot of people have $1,000 deductible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for the SUV on this one, let's take a quick look. That was at about $700, and there's the other, interesting part of this. $700, that's a misdemeanor theft.
Yeah, that's true.
You need $750 or above to get up to felony.
Did the Arnold police, because I know they're saying if you have any information, call them, but were there cameras and were the cameras operating?
Well, unfortunately for the SUV, that was at an apartment complex, and I do not believe they had any surveillance video, and they were not really able to tell anything from the Fox bus lot. So no, it's one of those of you keep track of it as best you can, and you hope maybe there's some kind of marking or identification. That is a lot of things when talking to the various agencies we covered on here. When they're saying now, hey, you can either buy. There are some. They range from fairly inexpensive to very expensive, as you said, almost cages that you can install onto there. But if you don't want to go that far and try and install something on there, they're saying crawl under there and scratch out your VIN number on your catalytic converter. That's just another identifying tool. And then also your up and up scrapyards, if they see a VIN number connected to, well, they're going to say, okay, well, where's this vehicle? Or they're going to say, you know what, this has markings all over it. I don't believe it's yours.
Here's the other thing I wonder too, Tony, because when we had the recycling guy on and he says he's turning people away, how often are police then going to these recycling lots? And is that a part of the investigation? And has any one of these 11 cases that you've covered since the beginning of the year been arrested? So two questions there.
Right. Do they follow up? Yes. Are there arrests? I have not heard of one, unfortunately, with these. A lot of times, unless they actually get there, there's been a few cases where someone has seen somebody laying under a car, call the cops. Cops are able to get there in time. Because as we said, this can, if you know what you're doing, 60 seconds or less, in and out. But pretty much, unless they catch them in the act, it's very hard to track these people down, because even when you come into the store, if you have half a brain in selling you're not going to give them your real name.
Right.
Tell them where you're from. So no, it's great that these shops are starting to help out as much as they can by turning them away, but they have no way to, hold the person there. They can't lock their door and say, hey, wait here for, a minute, 2 minutes, whatever it takes for the response time.
So I don't have to show my ID when I go recycle something. I don't have to show.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Like aluminum cans, you don't have to.
My knowledge, no.
And I will point out, if I remember correctly, Tony, the gentleman from Diddy and Orff, Adam Orff out there, he said that they are part numbers that are on those catalytic converters, not necessarily a VIN number, but that's a smart idea to have a VIN number on these things, because then you can match it just like a motor to a body of a vehicle. So I think that would be smart if I followed that information correctly. But scratching it out is going to give it's going to tip off the recycling center that this has been messed with.
Right.
And then they could also call in that number and say, hey, I got VIN number whatever, and these things, they go out all all departments share information. And so it should, depending on how the computer systems working that day or when things got told in, it could say, oh, wait, that VIN number pings on a Prius in St. Charles that reported their Catalytic converter stolen 3 days ago.
Yeah, I'm guessing only
I think
skinny
you got
people.
somebody here. See if you can get some more information for us, and then we'll come pick them up, or we'll be there as quick as we can.
Yeah, it's like a background check on a bad guy going in to buy a firearm. Tony Krause, thank you from Leader Publications. Thanks for joining us on the Quiver River Electric Guest Line, cooperative guest line, and thanks for the information, because this is, like I said, everybody's a target.
Tony, thank you.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Have a good day.
All right, and if the issue continues, I wonder, do lawmakers step in? 11 thefts. I mean, it's July, so 1 or 2 a month. It is significant, and the kind of damage that's being caused. It would take 6 school buses to be hit, maybe, for lawmakers to say, we need to. If you're turning in a catalytic converter, you got to show your ID.
Yeah,
that kind of policy change.
And it's the precious metals that are on the inside. And again, it's not just Cadillac converter; it's catalytic converter.
Yeah, catalytic converters.
All vehicles have them. Did you get my
yeah.
joke? You didn't get my joke.
Oh, I didn't know he was trying to make a joke. Was he trying to make a joke? When you have to explain the joke, I've said that to him on many occasions.
I will rewrite that
I'm looking
joke.
right at you, Lori. I'm not looking at him. I'm looking right at you to tell you, Lori, who's running the board today, that I have said to Bo, when you have to explain the joke, it doesn't work.
Catalytic
It doesn't
converter.
work. Oh, my
Cadillac
goodness.
converter.
All right.
You're
Okay.
welcome.
All right. Let's take a quick break and get Bo's comedy routine together right here on St. Louis Talks. carrot bacon.
Are we going to go there?
Yes, we
That's
are.
That's your business.
Tabitha Brown, who made carrot bacon on TikTok, I think, and it was millions of views or whatever. I haven't tried it yet.
I was one of them. I have.
You did try because your wife is a vegetarian.
She is,
and Lori, our board op, doesn't eat beef. Oh, you're a vegetarian also. Oh, what? Vegetarian vegan. I didn't know that, Lori. Okay.
Yeah. So carrot brats are marinated overnight in a brine and all kinds of stuff. And I did a taste test with a regular brat and a carrot brat. Yeah, it's really hard to tell the difference.
Really?
It's cylindrical. That's about the only
so there's some liquid smoke and
soy sauce, maybe.
Yeah, I've seen the recipe. I haven't tried it yet.
It is amazing.
Okay, hard left turn here.
Yes.
We do have a question from Charlene, who is watching us live on we're streaming on Facebook at St. Louis Talks. Can my Catalytic, aka Cadillac converter, because she got your terrible joke.
How do
will
you know?
My car still work?
Yeah. How do you know when it's gone? So
how do you know? Yeah.
What I'd like to do is I'd love to have a mechanic jump on this St. Louis Talks Facebook page and help answer that question, because I remember Adam Orff did reference that.
He did. Or call us now at 314-436-7900 if you're a mechanic and you know. But I believe he said that it would start and it can run, but it's not going to go far.
Yeah, I think it's different than when a muffler falls off.
Right.
I've had that
and we all hear it coming.
Yeah.
Oh, that person needs a muffler.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
okay.
Yeah.
So if somebody does call, we're going to get a professional answer.
A little help
to your question, Charlene, because I know how to run a car into the ground, is what my husband would say. I've locked up an engine. I've run out of gas. I've broken a key off in the. I did that.
Look at you.
Oh, I've done a lot. So I'm not the one. So we have a call coming in now. Someone who can tell us how do you know that it's gone, and will her car still work? The question from Charlene.
It's just amazing, especially when you look at the profile, the low profile of a Toyota Prius, and how low that is, and how you got to get a jack underneath that thing. If you're skinny, maybe you can get on there and cut it off. But I mean, those things are low to the ground.
Rich is joining us now.
Oh, wonderful.
Rich knows the answer, Charlene. So I hope you're listening. Rich, welcome to St. Louis Talks.
Hey, thank you for having me on. What's going on, Bo?
So what is the answer? Can the car still run? Will you notice a difference if a catalytic converter is missing?
Absolutely. It's basically like a huge hole in the exhaust.
So it does sound like a muffler missing.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be sounding like you got open headers.
Oh, because the exhaust pipe from the manifold, there's a section missing.
Correct.
So that's okay.
So you could have, it sounds like you knew this and you didn't even need Rich to call. You were just feigning like, oh, I don't know what happened.
Because I'm a diva. Yeah. Isn't that what you call me?
That's what I call Bo.
Rich,
Rich, thank you.
Okay. So when a muffler falls off a vehicle, I definitely know what that sounds like.
Right. We all know.
You hear the motor on a short tailpipe and it blah, blah, blah. And so I guess if the catalytic converter is in line with the muffler.
Same sound. Rich, right? Same sound?
Well, before the muffler, so it's going to be even louder as if the engine was wide open straight from the exhaust.
Ah, okay. So Charlene, you're going to hear it.
Yeah, and in addition to that, the computer control systems on the fuel-injected vehicles will get all messed up because there's sensors before and after the catalytic converter to monitor the converter's efficiency.
Absolutely.
So you will be thrown all askew. You'll know right away.
All right. Rich, why do I feel like you guys are hiring? Because everybody's hiring wherever you work.
I wish. Well, I work in more the hot rod industry. Where we build vehicles, hot rodding. We take older vehicles from the 60s and 70s and bring them up to date with modern fuel injection engines and so on.
Oh, you're my buddy, Rich.
He said hi to you. He didn't say hi to me. So everybody listening knew that he knew you.
Well, no.
Oh my gosh.
There's a lot of people that.
What kind of friend?
You know what? Mr. Gary yesterday thanked you, never said nothing, goodbye, nothing to me when he walked out. So we are even now. Rich, this is who I talked about yesterday about being an Israeli army. Rich, right? Am I right?
That's me.
He's from Israel.
Fantastic.
Yep. And well, that's a whole nother conversation.
We honestly just spoke about you yesterday.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Rich, we're trying to make you famous, man.
Well, thank you so much for the information, and I hope that Charlene is listening.
Yep, good stuff, Rich. Thank you very much.
See you later, man. Bye.
All right, hot rods.
Good.
Israeli Army and hot rods in the same sentence. You don't get that often on KMOX.
I'll tell you what, he's smart as a whip. He really is. He's a good guy.
Charlene just said thanks for the answer. Thank you, Rich. so much for calling in
and really
for your
everybody.
service to your nation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And to the motorsports world. But, Charlene asked the question for everybody listening. How do you know? So thank you for,
There you go.
asking
He
the
said,
question.
by the way, and he said it's going to sound like the engine's wide open, like your hood is up. So it's the sound is going to tell you that something is clearly wrong.
Yeah.
Have you ever been driving along and you're like, wait, I hear something. And
Well-
you turn the radio down, you make everybody shush, and you turn the air off because you want to hear what do I hear? What am I hearing?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What's that ticking sound? Or what? Matter of fact, in my new to me Avalanche, I just texted a mechanic friend of mine yesterday. It's got a really high pitched fan that's on when you're going down the road or when you're sitting. I'm like, is something wrong? It sounds like it's too high pitched. And what it is it's a secondary fan for the humidity and the heat. If your air conditioning's running, it needs more cooling air to cool down the motor.
So is something wrong?
Nothing is. No, it's an added feature. But
Okay. So it's just an unrecognizable sound.
on my previous
Right.
Avalanche, I didn't have that. So I was like, what's going on here?
Okay.
So, it's always good to have an attorney. You got to have a banker, an investment person, and a mechanic.
That is so interesting because I say to my sons, there are at least 2 people you need to know in life, maybe 3. And this is my thing: an attorney, a banker, and I've said bank president. You need to know a bank president.
I don't know them.
Right? I know a couple of bank presidents, right? And then a pastor. That's what I've always said that to my sons. You need to know these people. Have these people in your life.
And a chef.
Well, they can cook. And their mother can cook, and their father can. I don't know.
Well, no, I'm just saying.
You're just hungry. I bring you this breakfast sandwich, and you are just talking food. Are you going to get the free fries today, by the way, from McDonald's?
Oh, yeah. What is that? Is that a confirmed deal?
It is. I'm telling you.
McDonald's is giving away free fries. That's what I heard.
You don't trust my sources.
It's not that. I'm asking, can you reveal your source? Because there's a rash of break-ins through drive-through windows, which I don't even know how that happens because those windows
You're
are
not
so
getting
small.
in my drive-through window.
And no, you'd knock them down to the ground.
You are not getting in my drive-through. There's a hot cup of coffee, the hot kettle of coffee right there.
The picture that we saw online though of the guy, he had a gun in his hand and he was his body was halfway through that drive-through window. I'm thinking to myself, you got to be really skinny, and you're not eating that McDonald's
and strong
food
to pull yourself in.
Yeah,
but the picture was taken when up to the waist he's in, right?
Right.
So prior to that, he had to put his hands on the edge of the drive-through window to get in.
Oh, I think you could do it with your elbows. Get your hands
But
in.
there's some point where you don't have complete control of the weapon. Now, the managers of the store would say, let him have the till.
Absolutely.
Let him have let him have whatever. Do not put your lives at risk.
Run to the freezer.
But
Dump in there.
my initial reaction was, oh, you better get up out of this way. Oh, I'm about to hit you in the head.
That pot of hot coffee is handy.
Hot coffee.
Mhm.
McDonald's doesn't sell hot grits, but if they did,
Ooh, another revenue
that's
stream.
that's a good thing to throw on somebody.
Are the free fries really a thing today?
Okay,
is it
so
only today?
Lorna Godwin sent me this email last night. This is a news release. McDonald's rewards. You have to download the app.
Oh, there's the hook right there.
They lost you at download. They lost you.
No, I'll do
You
it.
download the app and then some. You go through the thing and you get free fries.
Customer acquisition. That's what it is.
In 2020 alone, here's a fun fact for you. They call it a fun fry fact, and then we're going to go to the news here with Michael Calhoun, who is patiently waiting. A fun fry fact: 2020, nearly 75 million French fry units were sold. 75 million in Missouri. In Missouri.
And you called them French fry units?
That's what they call them.
That
a
sounds
fry
delicious.
Unit. A fry unit. Take me to your leader. A fry unit. The news is next.
That's breaking news right there.
9 degrees downtown at the Arch. Millions of people who have been vaccinated against COVID-19 could nevertheless find themselves barred from entering certain countries in Europe and elsewhere. The reason is that some nations do not consider the AstraZeneca vaccine sufficient if it was manufactured in India. Some health officials say the move is unnecessary and unscientific. Police say a man killed one person at a Wisconsin gas station, and that suspect was later shot and killed in an exchange of gunfire with an off-duty officer. There's been a hefty jury award in a lawsuit over excessive use of force by police in Virginia.
A black woman who was forced face down onto the pavement during a traffic stop has been awarded $300,000 by a jury. after she sued an officer for excessive force and false arrest. The case started in 2015 when then 54-year-old Monica Cromartie was stopped for speeding in Petersburg, Virginia. She says the officer pulled her out of her car, forced her to the ground, and placed his weight on her back, causing numerous injuries. Jim Crisilda, CBS News.
And right now, we do have some debris that is on 270 northbound. It's at Ladue. Watch out there. Also, a stalled vehicle 270 northbound before Dorset. That's been moved over to the right shoulder. Weather is sponsored by Reinhold Flooring. Overnight low 71. Tomorrow, partly sunny, hot and humid with a high of 93. Looking for first-class flooring products with a professional and caring sales staff? Reinhold Flooring has been taking care of its customers for over 30 years. Go to reinholdflooring.com. That's reinholdflooring.com. Cloudy and 79 downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
It is time to chat about the wonderful events and the wonderful get-togethers that you should be having in your backyard. Carol Daniel for Chesterfield Fence and Deck. They are really about lifestyle. I mean, you're in your living room, you're watching TV, you're in the basement, you're in your, you do what you do in the bedroom, but your backyard, and I mean sleep. Come on, people. You're in your backyard, and that's where the birthday party takes place. And, maybe you and your friends are getting together and talking about, what happened at church and, or maybe you had a 4th of July party. But for those of you who are saying, I don't know anything about what you're talking about, Carol, because my backyard is a wasteland. I need to redo this deck. I'm afraid to walk on it. I need a fence. I don't want to let the dog or the kids out. I have longed for a pergola. You need to call Chesterfield Fence and Deck. Or better yet, just go to Chesterfield Fence and Deck and check out their showroom. It's more like an actual home show, really, because they have this incredible display of their fences. They built our bronze aluminum fence, but they have wood fences as well, decks, sunrooms, pergolas, and more. Call 636-532-4054 and mention my name, Carol Daniel, in July. Get 20% off your next outdoor project. Chesterfield Fence and Deck, the sign you have the very best. Well, we were talking earlier in the show about the Bo. Is it called the Great Reset? I know it's called the Great Resignation, but there is a sense of Great Reset. People leaving their jobs.
The Great Reset has been talked about on conspiracy channels or thinker channels. Conspiracy theory, conspiracy therapist is another term that I heard.
I
No,
just
that's
rolled
good.
my eyes in the back of my head.
That's good. No, that's good. That's good. If we're all thinking the same, nobody's thinking, right?
But I don't want us to think in, rabbit hole thinking and thinking, I mean, there's some things you can ask and some things that take you down a path that you just don't believe anything anymore.
I get that, but with all these crazy things, would you agree that everything that we're seeing happen politically, medically, all these things around the world, it's all happening so quickly before us?
I don't know that when I look at the issues, if I were to pick an issue, for instance, we've talked about racism forever. I mean, slavery, we know the years. We've talked about, the business community, government intervention. They were talking about that forever. So I don't know about how fast I feel it is, but it is true that it's a lot. It's a lot.
At the beginning of the pandemic, we had to shut down for 2 weeks. That was the original plan. 2 weeks, and we'll get past this. 37% of small businesses have closed in a year. That to me is just mind-numbing.
Well, the pandemic was something that came upon us, and I mean, this is an historic moment. It truly is. And the other thing that we know that's happening after business shutdowns and the Great Resignation, people are going to be leaving their jobs. The other part that we have talked about on KMOX for months is the labor shortage. Everybody has an opening. And I learned from the National Federation of Independent Business, the Missouri chapter, and the state director joins us now, Brad Jones, that the labor shortage is leading to a decrease in the amount of money that businesses can make. So, Brad, welcome to St. Louis Talks and KMOX.
Hey, Carol, Bo, it's great to be with you guys.
This is we've talked so much about people can't hire, businesses can't find enough qualified applicants.
Yes.
What is happening in the state of Missouri? Yeah, it's a multi-layered issue. I know
it is, and if there was kind of one single thing you could point at and say that's it, that's why we can't hire anyone. I think somebody smarter than me would have figured that one out. I mean, you guys are in St. Louis. I'm in mid-Missouri. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to drive around and see all the help wanted signs. I mean, it's absolutely unprecedented. I actually drove down to Sullivan the other day, St. James, Missouri. There was a couple of signs out front. These were just fast food places. Starting salary $13.50 an hour. This is where we are, and I think there's probably a few reasons why that we're in the labor shortage that we are. I think the $300 increase probably in unemployment helped a little bit. I think we're also seeing this supply chain issue where you've got small business people that are having trouble getting their goods and services their goods that they need. That's been somewhat of an issue. But I mean, it's really been an incredible thing to have to adjust to. And that's the thing, Carol, I wanted to visit with you a little bit about is, yes, we have this problem. I mean, we have 46% of our members that have job openings. That is absolutely unprecedented. In the history of the surveys that we've done, we have never had 46% of our members that can't fill positions that are out there right now.
And this is all coming from your NFIB monthly jobs report. That's where you found those results.
That's right, Carol. And we've done a couple of surveys. Actually, we've done the Small Business Economic Trend Survey we've been doing since 73. But we've also, during the pandemic, been doing some special surveys of the members specifically on pandemic-related issues. The SBET is kind of a more general sort of economic survey. The one that we've done lately, and we've done several of them of the membership, have been a little bit more pandemic related and a little more specific. For instance, on staffing shortages, the one thing I think is kind of interesting is how are small business people pivoting, and how are they adjusting? And, we have 41% of our part-timers are getting more hours, which is good for the part-timers, but you've got 60% of your full-time employees, they're getting more hours. And of course, I guess this comes as a great shock. Guess who's getting more hours than anybody? The poor business owner who's already putting in 78 hours.
And who's
a
not
week.
sleeping at night either. You worry about it because, so many small businesses, they know that they are responsible for, there's, so many families, so many employees. It's heartbreaking because we talk about all these jobs that are open and we know that there's people that can do it. And I just remember when on the debate stage, when Andrew Yang was like, I want to put $1,000 in everybody's pocket every month. I'm thinking, who is this guy? Are you crazy? And now we're getting them a whole lot more than that, or we have been for a long time. I think hunger is going to be the best motivation to get people back to work, or turn to a life of crime, which is sadly true as well during this time.
Well, Bo, the other issue too, I mean, if you mine down a little bit deeper too, you have certain industries that are even having more problems than anyone else. I mean, if you're trying to build houses, or you've got some specialized work, or you've got drywallers, or you've got roofers, you've got people like that, finding people that have the qualified skills that they need for those kind of specific jobs, they're really, really having trouble finding those kind of people.
And yet, Brad, you are finding that optimism is up.
Optimism is up, Carol, and I think the thing that is somewhat heartening in all of this is that, if you're a small business person, and you two know this, if you're a small business person, by golly, if you're going to start a business, you better be a positive kind of a person.
Relentless.
Yeah, that's right. To mortgage your home and say, this is my dream and this is what I want to do. But I think, at least here in Missouri, we're seeing small business folks that are saying, you know what, at least we can see a light at the end of this tunnel. And nationally, we had like 22% or said that the end of this year, everything should get back to normal. And then we had about 27% that said the beginning of next year we should get back to normal. So when we asked that very important question on the Small Business Economic Trends Survey that says, do you believe that economic conditions are going to improve in the next 6 months? This is very, very important. The Fed has looked at our data for years, and I think I remember Alan Greenspan one time said, so goes small business, so goes the country, and they would look at that optimism index, which is basically really, Carol and Bo, it's made up of several questions that we ask our small business owners. And, this particular one that just came out today for June, for instance, we ask, do you plan to increase employment? Do you plan to make capital outlays? Do you plan to increase inventories? Do you expect the economy to improve? Do you expect real sales higher? What's your current inventories, current job openings? Expect credit conditions? Now is a good time to expand, and their earnings trends. And so we ask them those things, and then we put it together in an index. And the index did jump 2.9, which is a pretty good jump. Do I expect that to continue? That's all going to depend on whether or not we can start hiring people and have a full workforce in our small businesses so they can grow. Because growth is going to be very difficult when you're cutting hours of your business. And, if you've normally been a Monday to Saturday company and you decide we're cutting Monday, those kind of things are going to have a real impact on the overall economy as we move down the road.
Well, Brad, would you stay in touch and let us know how things are going for small businesses in the state of Missouri? I am a small business owner. Bo is a small business owner. And so we, as you said, we know full well how difficult it is to go into business and stay in business. Brad Jones
I would love to talk with you two anytime, and good luck to everybody at KMOX.
That's great.
Thank you. State Director of the NFIB, the National Federation of Independent Businesses, with us on St. Louis Talks on the Quiver River Electric Cooperative Guest Line. Coming up, I see she's there somewhere. Rachel Zimmerman joining us next on KMOX. Headed over to the Colonnade Senior Living in O'Fallon, Illinois this afternoon. I want to curl my mother's hair. I just want to hang out with them. And I went recently and I was like, where's my father? He was out walking around, within the building. He was not outside, but within the building, just having a good time. He called me the other day, said, I'm about to go for a walk. They are, and I knew this would happen, that their lives would improve because they would even feel a greater sense of safety and security. I knew it would happen, and I knew that I wanted them to be in the Colonnade Senior Living. It is 10 minutes from my house, and not just the closeness, but the fact that they have 24-hour medical services, the fact that all employees are trained in dementia-capable care, restaurant-style fine dining. They have a movie theater inside. They have a wellness gym as well and group classes. My dad said, your mother's down there doing some rehab. He likes to brag, which is fine with me because that means he likes where he is. And that is such a relief for us. The ColonnadeSeniorLiving.com is the website. That's where you can go and schedule a tour for yourself. They have all-inclusive pricing, by the way, no add-in cost. Colonnade, COLONNADE, the ColonnadeSeniorLiving.com. Yay, Rachel Zimmerman sighting. Dave Glover show is coming up next, but the boss says you will go on St. Louis Talks and force yourself to talk to those idiots in there. So thank you.
But every morning we do go through the ritual. Hey, will you text Dave? Hey, will you text Rachel?
Hey, will you text Trish?
I know Tuesdays are generally my day.
Oh, really? Because I don't have a schedule at all. I never know who's.
That's when they ask me.
Good.
So
Okay.
today when I asked at 10 o'clock this morning, I'm like, okay, how can I say it today? Good morning, Rachel. If you have time to join us for the crossover, we'd really appreciate it.
You get it. That's a whole long sentence.
Well, because I care, and I don't want to be rude.
So you vary it up every week?
We demand you at 1:53
Rachel,
in the
you're
afternoon.
I do. I listen to the second to last segment, so I know when I can fill up my water bottle and come down. So I usually have a pretty good idea of what you guys are talking about before I
That
come
is good.
up. My show prep.
Have you ever? This is such an odd question to ask somebody, a grown up. Did you ever run away?
I tried. I had like the lamest runaway story ever. And by that, I mean, no one even knew that I ran away. There was like an empty lot on the other side of the street. And I was like, I'm going there for no reason. I'm sure I saw like Snoopy do it or something. And that's why I wanted to try. And so I just went and stood there for a while, got bored, came home. Then there was another time where I got it into my head that I was going to live in my closet and like not come out. I guess just, this will show them. Again, I don't know. Nothing bad happened. I had this idea that I wanted to do it. So we had some frosted Wheaties, and I got like 6 of them and put them in a little plastic baggie. And I was like, this will last me a good 6 days. I can last a week in the closet.
You were what, 4 or 6?
Very
or something?
tiny.
Yes.
So of course those were gone in 5 minutes. And I'm like, well, I did my best. I guess I'm just going to re-enter society now.
So it was just a streak of independence. You just wanted to walk away and show them.
Exactly. I just wanted to be interesting.
You
and
were
I
mad,
thought
though.
that
You
would
were
be
probably
fun.
mad at somebody, right?
Probably not. No,
Oh.
I don't remember there being an event. I just got it in my head that it would be a cool thing to do.
Speaking of cool things, I'm looking at a runaway right here. Bo Matthews.
Okay, so Lori Beakley shared, our executive producer today. She shared that she went and hid in the basement, and she did bring a sandwich with her.
Peanut butter and jelly.
There you go.
Smart woman.
But the commonality of every kid's story running away is they get hungry. I got hungry.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
ran away. I was not prepared. I went away. And I'm like a block and a half, and I'm like sitting there. That'll show them, right? I was
Right.
mad at my mom, and then I was like, kind of getting hungry. I bet it's dinner time.
How long did you last out there in the wild, wild west?
In my mind, 17 days.
Right.
In reality, 17 minutes.
If that.
But it's weird how things, bring up the idea. But have you ever? Well, I came from a broken home. Mom and dad divorced when I was 7, and everybody grew up in two-parent
My
homes.
parents are still married.
Until I
65
was 12.
years.
My parents divorced when I was 12.
Okay.
So
Did you ever threaten the parent you lived with? I'm going to live with.
I don't think so. No.
I did once.
You did. How did
Learned
that
my
go?
lesson.
Did you actually go?
No. My mom went and grabbed the suitcase. Says, "Okay, you're moving. You want to go and live with your dad? Let's pack it up."
And so did you then?
No, I was like,
It scared you.
I didn't mean it. I did it once.
I never ran away, but my mother threatened to send me.
Oh my gosh. I didn't even think of that.
You didn't think of that? Yeah. I was waiting to drop that on you all day. All day. My mother said, if you don't get yourself, I'm going to send you to Mississippi.
Wow.
Which is where my grandparents were from.
Okay.
And the only thing I could think about was they didn't have TV.
No worse punishment than that.
I wasn't worried about, the food or
Starting a whole new life.
A whole new life. I wasn't thinking about what I did wrong. I was like, wait a minute, they don't have a TV.
Grandma does cook good, but she don't have TV.
Oh man, they had great food, but no.
That's great.
That's awesome.
Thanks,
All right.
Rachel.
The Dave Glover Show is next. And tomorrow on St. Louis Talks, our series with our detainees from St. Louis County Jail continues. And we will talk with our St. Louis All-Star, Ken Schrader. Next, the news on KMOX.